Hey, everybody, welcome into Live with Greg. I am so thrilled to be talking to my friend, Monica Mann. She's back home in my home county in Talladega County, Alabama. Grew up in Childersburg, Sylacauga area. And Monica, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. And I have to make sure I correct myself. Evangelist Monica Mann. How's it going?
It's great. All is well. All is well. And thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so glad to be talking with you tonight. I'm so happy that you said yes. But more importantly, what I wanted to talk to you just about, life in general, and you're going into 2022. But I was home over the December because of the circumstances with my family. But
Yeah.
I was just, had a lot of time to watch TV and catch up on things. And you and I had a discussion months and months, probably a year or so ago, that you wanted
Yeah.
your own show. And I'm just minding my own business on social media. And I said, wait a minute. And that was at late at night. I said, Monica got a show. I didn't even know she had a show. And I was talking to my best friend about it. I said, you didn't even tell me Monica had a show. She said, oh, yeah, Monica Ben had a whole show. It's Real Talk with Real People on WOIL TV back home in Talladega County. So when you think about the show and the blessings that God has given you, what has it been like for you?
I can just tell you that in this day and time, people want to see a sign. And of course, I'm an evangelist through and through. That's what I do in my everyday life. And the blessed part about it is understanding now that God wants to use my life and use me as that sign to the world and to people that it could happen. It can happen. If there was one main big message that I would want to share tonight with you, it can happen. It
It
can
can
happen.
happen. When you think about your life and everything you've gone through to get to this point in your life, you've gone through, like so many people, we've all gone through something. Robin Roberts wrote a book a few years ago. Everybody's got something. That's a phrase her mother always told her. When you think
Yeah.
about your something, tell us a little bit about some of the things you have gone through to get you to where you are today in 2022.
Single mom of three. Of course, that alone is a challenge. But I made it because they're all adults now. Everybody's doing well. To God be the glory. Public housing, 18 years. Actually raised my kids in public housing before we were ever even in our own home. And when I did finally get my home, my oldest son was actually leaving for the Air Force. And so, the thing that I can think about as far as my life and where I am now is again, it could happen. I know sometimes we look at socioeconomic disadvantages that I face and the challenges that I had just in that aspect. I always wanted more. And so then, it went into an unfavorable lifestyle where I was not raised.
Mhm.
But God had a plan the whole time. And so from just coming from where I was to now, and Greg, you were the first one to interview me, even in that sense. You were the first one to interview me where I shared my testimony all those years ago, in 2002, actually. I think you were still in school.
I was still in school working at with Jimmy Dale Abrams back home.
Yeah.
And you're working at the same station where he is now. And I'm just so proud of the work you're doing. But for other moms out there who are going through a tough time when it comes to being a single parent, raising children, raising young men, what advice do you have for other women out there or other men who are single parents that are going through that journey now, raising children? What advice would you give them to help them through that season of their life?
Um, Listen to your children. Number one, you have to engage them. It's a total different generation, and they're different in itself. So it's a little more tough now. I think being a single parent for single parents versus when I was a young single mom of three, where everyone on the block could discipline your child. My children were safe when I wasn't home because the next door neighbor is going to look out where now you might have a predator next door. And
Mhm.
so being a single parent now is very different. But what I encourage and would encourage them is that you have to go to God. I cannot say that I could have did what I did and my children be where they are now if I had not accepted Christ January 2002. I could not have done. It was God who gave me a mind, first of all, to want to be a parent because I just had children. I did not have a parental mindset. I was not that going to the school, PTO, PTA, none of that. And God helped me to understand my responsibility and the accountability that I had to those children. And that even in that, God holds us accountable to what we instill in our children. And I think that, we've gotten away from that part of it, that sometimes we can't just say, I don't know why they act like that. Well, yeah, if you think about it, you know why. My youngest son, DK, a prime example, some of the things he does, I know why. However, I would still like to encourage them that, you got to trust the value that God has placed in you to raise them because He's placed value in all of us. But sometimes, as a single mom, the world system already wants to devalue a single parent. Like there's already a box that they'll put single parents in, where they'll automatically say that your children are going to be disadvantaged because you're a single mom. And that's just not the case. You
Right.
have to change your mind as far as that goes and know that God has placed value inside of you to do the job, to raise your children, and it can be done.
When you think about, you told me just a second ago, which I was going to get to that question. It was 20 years ago this month that you were saved and you just did a
Yeah.
turnaround in your life. When you think back to before that, 2001, 2000, when you think back to getting to the point of being saved, what was the turning point to let you or make you want to say, you know what, this is the time I need to give my life over to Christ?
Greg, listen, I believe in miracles because of January 23rd, 2002. I had overdosed on cocaine. And so, I didn't know if we were going to go that deep into it, but my life is an open book. And again, you were the first one to air my testimony. But even to drugs, alcohol, I sold drugs, traffic drugs. And then the end of that is that you're going to either get on drugs or you're going to jail or you'll be killed. But God's plan superseded all of those things. And so looking back until now, I just got to say it could happen. And that's what keeps coming up in my spirit to that person, to that single parent, to that individual who knows there's something inside. Because here's the thing, Greg. I always, even in the projects, even with the bad choices and the wrong decisions, I wanted more. I just felt like I'm not supposed to be here. In the projects with 3 kids, I'm not supposed to be. This is
Mm-hmm.
not where I'm supposed to be. And so, of course, when I accepted Christ, it was by way of a miracle. Some people say you have a choice. Well, I think that God said, okay, the choice is mine now, and it's time for you to serve the purpose that I have for your life. And so on January 23rd, 2002, by way of a miracle, He snatched me out because I had literally died.
Wow.
I was gone. My tongue had swelled up in my mouth and I was gone. And so when people look at me now and I share that testimony, they can't see it. And that's the first thing they'll say is, but when? Because I don't even remember when you were this or when you were out there. I remember you in the clubs, but I didn't know that you were even doing that. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's not something that I'm just, it's not something that was cute. However, low self esteem, depression, um, no self confidence at all. And then there was rejection. All of these things that just pulled me into a downward spiral. And God said, okay, I'm going to have to do what I got to do to bring her into who I want her to be. And so I'm still excited about that testimony. I still am.
When you think about everything that you have gone through and going through, drugs and different things, for people watching, a lot of people may know someone who's going through, a family member who's struggling with addiction, who's struggling with
Yes.
something. What advice would you have for those family members, those spouses or siblings who are trying to get their loved one to turn their life around when it comes to a life that is spiraling out of control in that way?
Number one, don't give up on them. That first and foremost, never give up on your loved one, because the simple fact of the matter is God never gave up on us. And if you've been blessed to make all the right choices and all the right decisions, then that's awesome. But then it's for you to turn around and be that lifeline. And I know that when you're dealing with an addict or someone, you get tired, because family members go through a lot with you know kids or whoever that's dealing with that addiction. And so I don't speak as one who don't understand. What I'm saying is, I'm glad, first of all, that God didn't give up on me. And I'm glad that I came from a strong Christian, loving family who never gave up on me. So, to that family member, the love is what will draw them, especially, your Christian family members who feel like, and I'm going to say it because I'm bold enough to say it, we get on God's side and then we think we done arrived. And then you have some that will never talk about anything that they did. And then they'll go so far as to start looking down their nose. And so, I have to bring us back to the love of God that we're supposed to show. One thing that I know addicts identify with is love.
When you think about your life and knowing that you've been able to turn your life around, and people are not perfect. We all still have a walk that we're going through every single
Absolutely.
day, and things that we are having, obstacles that we're having to cross every single day, no matter, what is it like in the Christian world, in the Christian walk. But when you think about your life today and everything you've gone through, if you could go back and talk to Monica Mann prior to January of 2002, what would you say to her?
Are you serious? That's the first thing I would say is, girl, are you serious? But I think that I would wrap my arms around her. I would wrap my arms around her and let her know that she's loved, that she's loved. And I say that again, that is something that I know um, addicts can identify with, is love. They may never really listen and soak in what you say, but they will identify with how you treat them.
That's
And
true.
so, yeah, I would wrap my arms around her and show her love, and help her to see the people that love her.
We are now approaching 2 years of being in COVID-19. Hard to
Yeah,
believe. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm over it. I won't
me
say it.
too.
I'm over
And
it.
me too.
But I will say this: during the beginning of COVID-19, I was so busy. I was running here, I was doing that, and I was just doing my life and so busy. But then all of a sudden, March 13th, if I'm not mistaken, the world went into a whole pandemic. It was official. And it's like the world stopped. God stopped everything. No,
Yeah.
nothing. You go in the house, don't do nothing.
Mhm.
What did Monica Mann learn about herself during that time of being still
Yes.
that has really helped you today?
The biggest thing is the value that God has placed on my life, Craig. Um, God has placed a value on our lives. And I'm just going to speak from a personal experience. That is when I came to know and understand the value that God has placed on my life. He thought I was worth saving. And so it was time to reset. And so I started the journey. I began the journey of resetting my life. Here I am, empty nest, kids grown and gone. They don't need me for anything except maybe a prayer or two. And I literally had to figure out what I liked.
Hmm.
I had to think about something that I would like to do for me.
Hmm.
Because when I did accept Christ, it was immediately about my kids and church. I I was a non-factor as far as I was concerned. It was about serving and my children. And so, during the pandemic, and I had to be still, and that's when it hit me. Okay, what are you gonna do now? Nobody needs you. Nobody's calling from the school. There's no games to go to. No children that, I mean, and so that's what I did. I realized the value of who God says that I am. And that's something that I want someone to get out of this whole interview is know that God has placed value on your life. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care if you put yourself there or if you just played the cards that were dealt to you. God has placed a high value on your life, and it's for you to dig in and see what He has in store for you.
I love that. As we wrap up tonight, I do want to ask you this. New show, Real Talk with Real People on WOIL. For people watching, where can we see your show locally in the Sylacauga, Talladega County area? But also, more importantly, for people who are not in that area, how can
Yeah.
we still see your show online?
So it's Real Talk with Regular People.
Oh, my bad. My
And
bad.
no,
Thank you
you're
for correcting
fine.
me.
You're fine. You're fine. It's Real Talk with Regular People. And you can go and catch those shows and catch up on those shows. I started in July of last year. And so all of the shows are on YouTube. And so I need subscribers, Greg, if I could solicit
Of
during this
course.
interview. I need subscribers. Go and subscribe to my channel, Real Talk with Regular People. And there you can view all of the shows. They air every Monday at 7 a.m. live, and then again at 10:30, and then again at I think 4:30, and that's 701 Spectrum Charter statewide. And
Mhm.
then it's on channel 24, AT&T Uverse, and we have Lighthouse. I'm not sure of the channel for Lighthouse, but there's three networks. But YouTube will be the best bet. And then on my regular Facebook page too, I
You know,
always post the show.
when you think about, I remember having this conversation with you wanting to do a show and to
Yeah.
see it come to fruition. What has this been like for you to be sitting in that chair talking to regular people about regular things? It's something you've always wanted to do.
It's I'm always in awe. I'm always in awe. I'm still very nervous. I'm just starting out, so I'm actually trying to learn the craft and maximize my full potential in this long time dream. Ricky Lake and Oprah Winfrey were probably my idols. Um, because at the time, no shade, both of them were kind of overweight. And so
Mhm.
that's what kind of opened the door for me because I was like, well, I'm cute in the face, but I'm thick. So I can do it too. I always wanted to be a talk show host, always. And so doing it now, I don't sleep Sunday night, going into Monday morning. I never sleep because I'm nervous. And but I'm loving it. I'm in awe of God's plan.
I'm so proud of you. Last question. If you can
Thank
describe
you.
yourself in one word, what would it be and why?
Relentless. I never gave up, even at my lowest. And I found myself at ground zero a whole lot of times, but I never gave up. I didn't give up on life. And so relentless for sure.
And I have to say, you just is such an inspiring story, and I can't allow you to leave this program without giving any advice, motivation you want to give. You get the last word.
Ah, great. Thank you. Again, I would have to say live, first of all. Live. Uh, the last 2 years has dealt all of us some blows, but we got to choose to live now. It's time to live, live, live. Find out what it is that God wants you to do and get to it. And most of the time, Greg, I got to say this. You're not going to have enough money. You're not going to have the right connections if you have any connections at all. But that's where knowing God comes in. Having a relationship with God, He's the best connection you could have, and then the doors open. So live for sure.
Evangelist Mann, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me tonight and giving me your testimony and taking a moment to talk to you. And it's hard to believe it was 20 years ago when
I
we did
know,
the
right?
interview. And the crazy thing is, I was a young high school student at that time.
Yeah,
Jimmy Dale let me work at his station, and thank God for growth. And just like
I
I
know,
grew,
right?
you're going to grow as well.
I receive it, and I'm headed your way.
Listen, I want you to be on. I want you to have a big Oprah show one day, but I want you to have me on your show, and I'll even come on your show now. But I'm just saying, I want you to be on all of the network TVs doing something extraordinary
Yes,
because it is coming. I always just tell people, a teacher told me years ago, patience is a virtue. So just be
yes,
patient,
yes.
and everything will come in God's timing.
Despise not small beginnings.
That's true. We'll talk
Thank you,
talk
Greg.
soon. Thank you so much. Blessings to you and your family, my friend.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye bye.